two figures covered in black robes stepped through empty space, after which they slowly landed a short distance from Xun'er. The leader raised his head, revealing a young pale white face. It was Hunya from the Hun clan. Hunya, you are really bold. Xun'er's eyes were icy cold as she stared at Hunya and slowly yelled at him. Haha, what is there to be afraid of? Your status does not pose the slightest deterrence to me. Actually, I really wish to know just what kind of uproar would occur within the Gu clan if you, a clan member with the divine bloodline, meet with an accident. Hunya laughed. His voice was filled with a dark chill. With your skill? A golden flame slowly danced within Xun'er's voice as she calmly inquired. I know that it would be difficult to deal with you. Therefore, my target this time around is not you but him, Hunya smiled. His fingers suddenly pointed toward Xiao, who was breaking through with his eyes shut. He laughed in a cold voice. Actually, 1 month ago, I sensed the both of you through my spiritual eye. However, I did not find a good opportunity to attack. Fortunately, such an opportunity has finally arrived. Xun'er coldly laughed. You can come and try. As you wish. Hunya smiled. A cold arc was lifted onto his pale face. Hunli, attack together and kill her. Understood. The black-robed person beside Hunya nodded when he heard this command. He pulled off the doping on his head, revealing a scar-filled face. A pair of indifferent and emotionless eyes stared at Xun'er a short distance away. There was not the slightest ripple in them because of Xun'er's extremely beautiful appearance. It is likely that Miss Xun'er has heard of Hunli, right? Ha ha, quite a number of experts from the Gu clan have died to his hands during the hidden fights between the Gu clan and the Hun clan during these years. Of course, those injuries on his body were bestowed by those people. Hunya smiled as he looked at Xun'er and said, I am aware that your strength is extremely great. However, I wish to see whether you can block 2 8-star dozuns when they are attacking together. Xun'er's face was without a ripple, appearing like an old well. She did not show the slightest unusual emotion because of Hunya's words. She slowly stood up from the large rock. A golden flame lingered in her eyes. Bang! That man called Hunli stomped his foot on the ground the moment Xun'er's eyes filled with the golden flame. His body appeared in front of Xun'er with lightning-like speed. His fist, which contained a dense cold aura, smashed towards Xun'er's neck without any fancy moves. Xun'er's eyes became cold when Hunli attacked. Her hand penetrated empty space with lightning-like speed, and she slammed into the fist just as it had been thrown forward. Bang! The fist and palm collided. A frightening wind caused the large rocks under their feet to explode with a bang. Hunli's body staggered 2 steps back. Although he was at a disadvantage, Hunli was not furious. An abnormal smile appeared on his face. His body flashed, and he once again pounced forward in a crazy fashion. Frightening wind shook the entire area until it rapidly began to distort. Faced with Hunli's ferocious attack, Xun'er's legs suddenly displayed a mysterious footwork. She easily dodged those sharp palm winds. Each time her weak hand struck Hunli's body, he would violently tremble. Hunli appeared to be attacking in the battleground. However, his rhythm was clearly being controlled by Xun'er. It was like a furious bull on a rampage was attempting to strike a dancing butterfly. It might appear fierce, but it did not pose much threat. Xun'er once again forced Hunli back with a palm. Her body suddenly turned, and she clenched her hand. A golden flame turned into a fire whip that shot out from her sleeve. Space fluctuated the moment the golden fire whip shot out. A dark black chain that contained a dark murderous aura shot from empty space like a poisonous snake. It heavily collided with the fire whip. An ear-piercing sizzling sound erupted. He, you are indeed worthy of being someone who possesses the divine bloodline. Your senses are this sharp? Hanya's figure appeared at the end of the dark black chain. He coldly laughed as he widened his mouth. A large black dragon surged out. This dragon was accompanied by a sharp, deafening dragon roar. It tore through the air and ruthlessly charged towards Xun'er. If one were to observe the scene carefully, one might discover that this dark black dragon was formed by many souls. The sharp dragon roar was emitted from many miserable screeches. Dirty tricks. Xun'er's eyes became cold as she watched the dark black chain rushed over. She was just about to attack when an extremely ferocious wind was suddenly transmitted from behind her. Even without turning around, she was aware that Hunli had attacked again. Even Xun'er ended up knitting her brows when faced with two 8-star Dozun experts. Her toes pressed on the ground, and her body rushed into the air. After which, the seal formed by her hand changed. A dense golden flame suddenly surged from her body in all directions. It transformed into a 100-meter-large fire hand that reached for the enormous dark black dragon. Bang! The golden fire hand grabbed the dark black dragon. The frightening temperature turned the souls into nothing before their miserable screech could be emitted. Chi! The sharp wind from behind her arrived after she had shattered the black soul dragon. Her hand formed a seal with lightning-like speed before smashing it behind her without even turning her head. Bang! The two collided. A frightening wind swept over the sky like a storm. The rich energy fog within a 1,000-foot radius had become thinner as a result. The visibility within the fog had become much better. Groan. A muffled moan was emitted from Hunli's throat when the wind swept away. His feet staggered back through empty air. That frightening and ferocious scar-filled face revealed a faint paleness on it. Although Hunli was forced back, Xun'er's foot was shaken until she took half a step back. A slight numb feeling appeared within her hand. This Hunli was clearly not a simple character. Otherwise, he would not have been able to force her back. Hunya, it looks like the two of you do not wish to leave the Gu realm alive. Xun'er clenched her hand. Her icy cold eyes landed on Hunya as she coldly cried out. Hee, there is no need for Miss Xun'er to be worried, Hunya laughed in a dark voice. His eyes suddenly glanced down. Xiao was seated below him. The doqi fluctuation around him was becoming more intense. We won't be able to kill Xun'er within a short period of time. Looks like we can only kill Xiao. After having experienced these exchanges, Hunya had gained an understanding of Xun'er's strength. He understood that even if he and Hunli were to join hands, they could fight with Xun'er, but they would not be able to seriously injure or kill her. However, Xiao was currently in a state where he was experiencing a breakthrough. If he were to successfully do so, they would end up with some trouble. Despite Xiao only being a 6-star Dozun, Hunya, who had watched the battle between Xiao and Guyao back then, understood that Xiao fighting strength far exceeded his surface strength. Hunli, go and kill Xiao. I will stop her. Xun'er's expression finally changed when she heard Hunya's cry. Her lovely figure flashed as she swiftly rushed toward Xiao. However, she had yet to get far when a whistling wind erupted behind her. Xun'er turned her head to see countless number of sharp black chains pouring toward her like a storm. Each of these chains possessed the strength to easily penetrate the defenses of an elite Dozun. When such a number of them had gathered together, even Xun'er could not act like she had seen nothing. Hunya, if you dare hurt him, this heavenly tomb shall be your final resting place. Xun'er could only turn her body when faced with Hunya's ferocious attack. A golden flame swept apart, and those chains were shattered amid some clang sounds. This woman, what powerful strength! If it was a one-on-one fight, I am really no match for her. Hunya's expression changed as he watched the dark black chains shatter in an instant. He turned his gaze, and a cold smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Hunli had swiftly rushed to the large rock where Xiao was training at this moment. Hunli's actions were also discovered by Xun'er. A dense, murderous aura surged from her eyes. Her sleeve shook and a golden long spear that contained an extremely frightening energy suddenly shot out. It ruthlessly shot at Hunya. However, Hunya was expressionless as he faced Xun'er's ferocious attack. It appeared as though he did not sense it. His fist, which was covered in a dense cold fog, smashed toward Xiao head without any hesitation. It was as though he wanted to take Xiao life, even if he ended up being seriously injured by Xun'er. Even Xun'er's face had suddenly revealed a paleness when she saw this scene. A bone-chilling craziness erupted from deep within her eyes. When this craziness had surged from deep within Xun'er's eyes, Xiao, who was seated on the large rock, suddenly opened his eyes. The corner of his mouth was lifted into a cold smile. His right hand slammed toward Hunli, who was within close proximity, with lightning-like speed. Great Heaven Creation Palm. The moment the palm was thrown out, a dark black heart-chilling light sphere began to expand with lightning-like speed. At this moment, the eyes of the ferocious-looking Hunli finally revealed an aghast expression. The dark black light sphere was like a mysterious black hole that swiftly spread from Xiao palm. Within the blink of an eye, it ruthlessly collided with Hunli, who was in close proximity. What a frightening retaliation by this brat! A shocked expression flashed across Hunli's eyes as he watched the black hole rapidly magnify in his eyes. Given Xiao strength, it was impossible for him to block an attack by Hunli even after waking up. However, Hunli did not expect this fellow to unhesitatingly unleash a powerful Do skill the moment he opened his eyes. When the black hole made contact with Hunli's body, his body emitted wave after wave of dense black fog Do Qi. However, it did not erode him and cause his body to disappear like old ghost Zhai Xing. Clearly, the strength of Hunli had far exceeded old ghost Zhai Xing. Humph! Xiao eyes turned cold when he sensed the light sphere met some resistance. Do Qi began to surge from his body in all directions before pouring into the dark black light sphere. Sizzle, sizzle. Following the pouring in of Do Qi, Hunya's sleeve was shattered with a ripping sound. Dense droplets of blood seeped from his arms. These blood droplets rolled down before turning into a line that continued to fall to the ground. Hunli's expression changed when he sensed the frightening, tearing force that was spreading from the light circle. He could sense the energy within the light sphere was becoming stronger. If this continued, he would not be able to endure and some serious injuries would occur. Soul explosion. A brutalness flashed across Hunli's eyes when this thought appeared in his heart. A dense black fog continued to surge from his palm. Finally, numerous powerful spiritual bodies exploded amid a wave of sharp, miserable screeches. A frightening energy exploded at this moment and forcefully stopped the speed at which the black light was expending. With the help of the reaction force from the soul explosion, Hunli's body swiftly pulled back. He is indeed worthy of being an expert of the Hun clan. A grave expression flew across Xiao eyes when he saw that this fellow blocked the great heaven creation palm, but his right palm slammed into the empty air in an abrupt manner. Bang! After Xiao palm fell, the black light sphere, which had been blocked by the soul explosion, emitted a bang before continuing to expand. It caught up to the rapidly withdrawing Hunya with lightning-like speed. The light sphere ruthlessly collided with his body. Grug! The blood and Do Qi within Hunli's body churned after suffering this ferocious strike. His organs appeared to have been shaken until their positions were shifted. A mouthful of fresh red blood was spat out. His body flew into the distance like a kite with its string broken. Since you have already attacked, you should leave your life behind. Xun'er was startled by this scene that had occurred within a split second. Her heart sighed in relief after seeing that Xiao Yin was all right. Her pretty eyes glanced at Hunli, who had flown back after being injured. The murderous desire in her heart suddenly surged. With a shake of her hand, a long spear with golden flames on it penetrated empty space with lightning speed. It ruthlessly rushed toward Hunli's head. Xun'er was extremely vicious. At this moment, Hunli was completely exhausted. Moreover, his body was in the air. It was impossible for him to dodge her attack. Hence, he could only watch as the golden spear ruthlessly shot toward his head. Bang! When the golden spear was about to strike Hunli's head, a wind suddenly shot over. It heavily struck Hunli's body. With the push from this force, Hunli's body shifted a little. Instead of his head, his shoulder ended up receiving the attack. Puff! The golden spear ruthlessly shot into Hunli's shoulder. Its frightening strength penetrated his shoulder. Hunli's body flew because of the long spear. It was violently nailed into the ground. The land within 1,000 feet collapsed and became half a meter deep. A frightening wind spread from where the ground collapsed. A dark black figure flashed and arrived in a ghost-like fashion. A gloominess flashed across Hunya's face when he saw Hunli's blood-covered body. A mouth-sized injury that revealed Hunli's bone appeared on his shoulder. Hunya's hand was used as a knife as he decisively hacked down. Fresh blood spluttered as he completely cut off Hunli's left arm. That spot had been completely eroded by the golden flame. Hunli would gradually have turned into ashes if he kept it. However, Hunli was quite tough. He clenched his teeth without making any noise when Hunya forcefully cut off his arm. Xiao Yin, consider yourselves ruthless. This debt will not be settled so easily. Hunya grabbed Hunli, who barely had any breath left. He looked at Xiao Yin and Xun'er in a vicious manner as he spoke in a dense voice. You wish to leave? Xun'er coldly laughed when she saw him. She was just about to move and stop him when a dense black fog surged out of Hunya's body. A countless number of ferocious-looking spiritual bodies shot out in all directions. They viciously rushed towards Xun'er. However, they ended up exploding with a bang when they were still 100 feet from her. Countless number of souls self-destructed. That frightening air wave caused Xun'er to frown. Her body pulled back a couple of steps as she waved her hand. Golden flames swept out and incinerated the dark black fog. However, Hunya and Hunli were nowhere to be found within the black fog. They are really quick to escape. Xun'er knit her brows. She turned her head and glanced at the energy light curtain that led to the second level. Two figures vaguely flashed beyond that spot, after which they entered the curtain. Those two were clearly Hunya and Hunli. Xun'er hurriedly looked at Xiao Yin after withdrawing her eyes from the energy curtain, only to see that his face was a little pale. She hurried over and asked, Xiao Yin Ji, are you all right? It's nothing serious. I have just broken through, and the do qi within my body is still unstable. Unleashing that Tian class do skill has resulted in a backlash. I will be fine after I recuperate for a while. Xiao Yin shook his head and replied, We nearly fell for a trick of those two. We must take their lives the next time we meet them. Xun'er furiously cried out. Xiao Yin nodded. A killing intent surged within his eyes. If he had not awoken early this time around and used a Tian class do skill, that sneak attack would have succeeded. We should be a little more careful in the future. Those fellows aren't ordinary. Xiao Yin quietly spoke in his heart. Since there had been no trace of anyone during this period of training, Xiao Yin's caution had been reduced. Only now did he understand that this heavenly tomb was not as peaceful as he had imagined. Xiao Yin Ji, you should go and recuperate. We will enter the second level after you have recovered. Hunli was seriously injured by me. Their strength will definitely be reduced. I am confident I can kill Hunya if we meet again. Xun'er spoke with a cold face. She was really furious this time around. I. Xiao Yin nodded. He would naturally not let the opportunity to beat a drowning dog go to waste. Moreover, this drowning dog was the bastard, Hunya. He should not let him off easily. Xiao Yin shut his eyes after uttering that word. His breathing stabilized, and the paleness on his face swiftly disappeared. Once Xiao Yin entered his training state, Xun'er slowly stood up. With the prior incident, she no longer dared to be more than a meter away from Xiao Yin. Her face was ice-cold as the mighty dou qi within her body surged like floodwater. Anyone who entered the range of her senses would suffer a wild storm-like attack. Xiao Yan's training continued for around an hour or so, after which he slowly opened his eyes. Surging dou qi fluctuated within his eyes as though it was a real substance. His hand moved and numerous slight scars appeared in space. The aura of the current Xiao Yin had undoubtedly been strengthened when compared to earlier. 6-star Dou Zun. Xiao Yin smiled as he sensed the ocean-like dou qi within his body. He could sense the soaring of his strength and the comfortable feeling brought by the increase of his level. The effects of 4 months of training has been extremely good. However, I wonder just how long it will take to break through to the 7th star. Xiao Yin understood that the heavenly tomb's energy cores were great nourishment. However, it was becoming more difficult to raise one's level at the later stages of the Douzun class because the energy that was required to advance was so large that it was shocking. It was too difficult to reach. Xiao Yin GG, congratulations. Xun'er only heaved a sigh of relief within her heart when she saw Xiao Yin open his eyes. She sweetly smiled and uttered congratulatory words. With her perception, she was naturally able to sense that Xiao Yan's current strength had increased. This is only the 6th star. There is still a gap when I'm compared to Gu Yao and that Hunya. Xiao Yin straightened his body. He heard the crackling sounds of his bones from within his body and laughed. They have to train for much longer than you. They cannot compare to you at your age. Moreover, the two clans possess an extremely rich foundation. The way they have been groomed is something that an ordinary person cannot compare with. Xun'er covered her mouth and softly giggled. If Xiaoyan Ji trained like this since young, you might have reached the Dosheng class by now. One cannot rely on this to reach the Dosheng class. Xiaoyan helplessly shook his head, after which he stood up and looked to the energy light in the distance. He laughed and said, "Let's go. It is time for us to experience how dangerous the 2nd level of the heavenly tomb is." Xiaoyan stomped on a large rock after uttering these words. His body shot toward the light curtain. Xun'er, who was behind him, smiled and swiftly followed. An unusually powerful energy pressure radiates from the enormous energy curtain when one approached it. What a powerful energy pressure! If one does not possess sufficient strength, one would turn into dust when passing through this layer of light. Xiaoyan paused outside of the energy curtain. His hand gently penetrated it and sensed the pressure. Finally, he cried out with some surprise. Normally speaking, anyone whose strength is below a 5-star Douzun would not be able to enter. Xun'er smiled as she replied, "Even the weakest energy body in the 2nd level will possess the strength of a 5-star Douzun. Those who cannot reach this strength will be delivering themselves to death even if they can enter. Just the entrance to the 2nd level requires the strength of a 5-star Douzun. Would the entry to the 3rd level not require a 7th or 8th star strength?" Xiaoyan frowned and asked. "This is more or less the case." Xun'er covered her mouth and softly laughed. This energy pressure might be strong, but given Xiaoyan Ji's strength, you should not find it to be much of a problem. Let's head to the entrance of the 3rd level before talking more. Xiaoyan shook his head. He studied the light curtain in front of him before extending his hand to Xun'er. He smiled and said, "Let's go in." Xun'er gently nodded, after which she placed her hand in Xiaoyan's hand and allowed him to drag her along. They slowly walked into the enormous light curtain. After the two of them gradually entered the light curtain, golden yellow and purple-brown flames began to slowly surge from their bodies. They completely suppressed the powerful pressure that came from the light curtain. This energy curtain was around 1,000 feet long. The duo walked for nearly 10 minutes before they sensed the energy pressure slowly weaken. "We are about to exit." Xiao narrowed his eyes and observed the end of the energy light a short distance away. He also sighed in relief. His footsteps suddenly quickened as he pulled Xun'er and shuttled through this extremely thick light curtain. After exiting the light curtain, the energy pressure covering his body completely disappeared. Xiao was just about to sigh in relief when Xun'er's somewhat anxious voice swiftly appeared beside his ear. "Be careful." A chill surged in Xiao heart after the voice entered his ear. A silver glow flashed under his feet as his body shook. An afterimage appeared in the original spot. Bang! A couple of unusually sharp energy forces arrived with lightning-like speed after the afterimage appeared. A wild and violent energy tore the afterimage into pieces within an instant. Xiao figure once again appeared around 10 meters behind the afterimage. He frowned as he glanced around, only to see around 10 energy bodies suspended in the air. Their empty yet cold eye sockets locked onto him. Energy body. Moreover, it is an energy body that possesses the strength of a 5-star douzun. Xiao frown tightened when he saw these powerful energy bodies. 10 5-star douzun energy bodies had gathered together. This kind of lineup had never appeared on the first level. It was unexpected that they had ended up being attacked by such a lineup the moment they entered the second level. There is still a bloody scent here. Someone has purposefully lured them here. Xun'er's body flashed and appeared beside Xiao. She looked at the surrounding energy bodies before she knit her brows and spoke. "It should be Hanya's handiwork." Xiao narrowed his eyes. The only people who could do this was Hanya's group, whom they had seriously injured earlier. "Can you sense the auras of those two?" Xiao eyes were locked on the 10 energy bodies around him as he asked. "No. These two fellows are as sly as foxes. They probably fled after luring these energy bodies over." Xun'er shook her head and replied, "Let's first deal with these fellows first. Otherwise, the bloody scent here will lure even more energy bodies. Let's finish the fight quickly. Any delay may result in an unexpected change." Xiao expression was grave as he nodded. The second level was indeed filled with danger. The 10 energy bodies with the strengths of 5-star douzuns would cause even an ordinary 6-star douzun to flee after meeting them. Fortunately, it was not very difficult to finish them off when he and Xun'er joined hands. "Understood." Xun'er gently nodded, after which she twisted her delicate body and disappeared in a strange manner. Xiao stomped his foot on the ground when her body disappeared. He rushed in the other direction with lightning-like speed. The battle continued for a short period of time. The two figures returned to each other in less than 10 minutes. They looked at the messy ground around them, looked at each other, and smiled. Each of them opened their hands. 10 pigeon-sized energy cores appeared. An unusually dense energy lingered around the energy cores. The energy appeared like a fog that possessed a spirituality. The eastern side is where the bloody scent disappears. Hanya and Hunley probably headed that way. Based on what I know, the eastern side is also the location of the third level. What should we do? Xun'er's pretty eyes shifted to the east. A chill flowed through her eyes. Let's follow them. These two must not be allowed to remain, Xiao smiled. However, his smile was exceptionally cold. These two fellows had launched a sneak attack and had even set a trap here. Xiao could not possibly act as though he had not witnessed these actions. Since you wish to play, I shall play with you until the end. The second level is far smaller than the first level. If everything proceeds smoothly, We will reach the entrance to the third level in less than half a month's time. Xun'er softly said, Let's go. We will split these energy cores equally and absorb them along the way. Xiao nodded. His body moved, and he transformed into a blurry figure that rushed forward. Xun'er nodded and quickly followed behind him. Two figures, flying at the speed of light, suddenly paused far in front of Xiao's group, where their sight could not reach. These two figures turned their heads and looked at the area far behind them. They have entered the second level. Those energy bodies have also been finished off by them. Hunli, who was left with a single arm, spoke in a deep voice. His face was still pale, but his aura had stabilized. There was a great number of energy bodies here. They were good at healing his injuries. Let's head to the third level first and ignore them. You should recuperate from your injuries during this period of time. Otherwise, we will be no match for them. If we have calculated things correctly, those fellows will arrive at the second level soon. If Xiao and Xun'er gather with Doupocangqiong and the rest, we will be no match for them. Hunya frowned and spoke in a dark and cold voice. Moreover, reaching the third level early will help our plan. At that time, we'll wait for all those fellows to gather, and then finish all of them off at once. Everyone knows that the heavenly tomb is dangerous. No one will say anything if those people die here. A ruthless expression surfaced on Hunya's face as he softly spoke. Hunli nodded. The corner of his mouth was lifted into a dense expression. They had ended up suffering a loss when they had attempted to take advantage of the situation. One of his own hands was lost. Given his character, he would definitely seek revenge for this debt. Let's go. I want to see whether they can follow us. Hunya coldly laughed. He waved his sleeve and a black fog surged out. It entered the surrounding energy fog while his body swiftly rushed forward. Hunli followed close behind. Bang bang. The expressionless Xiao waved his hand at the surrounding space, and a hot wind swept out, shattering the souls hidden within the energy fog. What irritating things! Xun'er knit her brows as she watched these spiritual bodies pounce over. The outer appearance of these spiritual bodies was not much different from an energy body. However, they were controlled by Hunya. Normally, these souls hid in the fog, but now as soon as Xiao's group approached, they would pounce over and self-destruct. Although the force was not strong, it was extremely irritating, and Xiao's group had already faced a self-destruct attack over 100 times during this 1 week. The injuries of Hunli are more or less healed. Xiao finished off the final spiritual body before twisting his neck. He spoke in a faint voice. Despite Hunya's group's miserable state from being chased, it was still possible to see scattered energy imprints revealing that Hunli's injuries were rapidly healing. What have our gains been during this period of time? 38 Grade 5 energy cores, 25 Grade 6 energy cores, 6 Grade 7 energy cores, 1 Grade 8 energy core. Xun'er thought quietly for a moment before replying. Although they had been chasing Hunya during this period of them, they did not forget about their aim to train themselves. Any energy bodies that they met along the way turned into an energy core that appeared in their hands. Some days earlier, they had luckily met an energy body that had reached the strength of an 8-star Zune. Xiao and Xun'er had wasted a lot of time in order to finish it off. An energy body of such strength already possessed its own intelligence. The difficulty level was naturally far from what an ordinary energy body could compare with. Unfortunately, we have not met any 9-star Zune energy bodies. With your current strength, only an energy core of such a grade is useful to you. Xiao regretfully lamented. Most of these energy cores had been absorbed by him. Xun'er had only used an extremely small portion. Although he was aware that these energy cores didn't do much for Xun'er, he also understood that she was purposefully finding excuses to give them to him. Xun'er smiled and softly commented, 5 more days until we can reach the third level. The tomb of the ancestor of the Xiao clan, Xiao Xin should be there. Xiaoyan slowly nodded when he heard her words. Anticipation surged within his heart. He felt a premonition that Xiao Xin's tomb contained some things that his ancestor had left behind for his descendants,